Welcome to Shade and the City. I'm your girl, Treese.
It snows.
And today, y'all, we are here to get into none other than the 90-Day Fiancé. This is season 11, and this is part one of the tell-all. I believe it's episode 19. I don't know. I just hope that it's over by next week. But all right. So yeah, if you haven't already, all of our Shade Squad, please make sure that you've hit that like button.
And that subscribe button.
And yeah, y'all, let's jump right into it. And yeah, let's get shady. All right, y'all. So we start off this tell-all, and Shekinah shows up alone. Okay, her and Sarper are coming separately. She said that everything has changed once they got married, and they're not good right now. All right. Basically, Stevie is worried, or not worried, but she knows they're gonna be on her about her sexuality, and it is what it is. All right. And then Joan says that Greg is trying to be a good husband, but thinks that he needs to grow the hell up. I can agree with that. So finally, Sarper does arrive, and he says that he definitely regrets getting married. Absolutely. And apparently, Greg has taken some type of liking to Sarper, and so he said, I'm gonna have his back this whole tell-all. That's my man's in them. And I was like, oh, okay. Stranger things have happened. So basically, Sarper is, giving the guys advice, for their first tell-all, and just letting them know that basically, if you want to say some shit, get it off your chest. Say it with your chest, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so Sean and Aaliyah show up, and they says that they say that they have some big changes in their relationship, and Sean is worried about being judged. And then I loved how Sean was backstage doing Aaliyah's hair for her, like the hair and makeup couldn't. But okay, girl. So then the rest of the cast start to mingle, and she kind of reveals that Amani messaged her and apologized in advance respectfully. I love doing that. That basically she was getting ready to come for her. Okay. And so Amani has a whole new face and a whole new body. And she said she did so because of the pressure of the world trying to put her in a box. I got this ice box where my heart used to be. Okay. And so then production asked Amani about her beef with Shekinah, and she said that she was just trying to reach out and, build some type of friendship, but Shekinah basically wouldn't give her the time of day.
So, and then I was like, so is that why you were mad? Like,
that's what it's giving.
Because she didn't want to be your friend?
It's giving. She's a fan. She's a fan. She's a fan. Or maybe she got a little girl crush on Shekinah. Because she seemed like she was interested in everybody from Stevie.
Remember, she had a girl crush on Stevie, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Stevie, she over here asking, what's her name? Jessica. Have you kissed a girl before? Oh, okay. Like she was getting real excited. I was like, okay, girl, calm down, simmer down.
It don't matter. They ain't gonna want you. They want Matt.
Okay. And Matt want everybody.
Apparently so.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see when Shekinah came in and was introducing herself to everybody but Amani?
Oh no, I didn't catch that.
For real? And then Amani tried to talk to her, and then she's like, she literally went across from her, introduced herself to Matt. And then I think they said, oh, I think she said something like, did they tell you I was gonna wear a green dress? And she was like, no, but it's different color green, so it's really not that big a deal.
Oh, you know what's so funny? I heard that comment, but I didn't realize she kind of was the one that said it. I was like listening, but like in and out. Got you. Okay.
So then everybody is getting called out to set, and they get started with Maddie and Stevie, and asked about them pushing their wedding date up, and if saving money was worth the extra stress. And Stevie said probably not. But Maddie said it did help because now he has his green card and he's working. Then she moved on to Sarper and Shekinah, and she asked Shekinah if she's changed her look a little bit. And Sarper said, of course she did. She said
I
that
feel
her
like she does something to her face before every tell-all. Like, it's literally that's why they're able to go back and do book, because I feel like, and
I
correct
think
me if I'm wrong in the
I think
comments,
the last
but I
one.
do feel like every tell-all she comes with something, whether it be a new nose, whether she always has something new.
It was, and like the shade that Sarper was throwing was like,
Sarper and oh
I
no,
mean,
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Minnie.
yeah. Well, I mean, he was throwing shade too, but I mean, Sarper's, her husband.
No, I was thinking about them throwing shade at a Minnie and how her and Matt was like, yeah, that's not it. But that's a different topic.
So she said that her under eyes were bothering her because she had all her filler dissolved. I don't know if it was all of it, but she said that she needed a lift. And now she said that she looks more natural, more like herself before the fillers. I've seen yourself before the fillers, and I think you're far, far off from what you used to look like. Sean
Not
asked,
somebody that I used to know.
and I'm not saying she looked bad. I
Right.
don't think she looked bad. She just doesn't look the way she used to look. Sean asked how married life is treating them, and Barbara said it's a roller coaster. It's up and down. And said the honeymoon. She said the honeymoon was over really fast. They didn't even have a honeymoon, and she still only has an engagement ring. So really, are they even married? That pissed Sarper off. So
he was
Matt,
like, I know you remind me, and I ain't even gonna hold you.
Right.
When he said every time we argue, you remind me, I said, girl.
So Matt jumped in and said, when I married my wife, I gave her a stainless steel band around her finger that was maybe $100, and I'm blessed to have her sit next to me today. Sarper said, "This is not about you."
I love when Sarper said that. He said, bruh, this is not your segment. I was here for it. I was like, you better, Sarper.
So then they moved on to Mark and Mina. He said married life is great because she's perfect. And then Sean asked about the 6-month deadline to leave New Hampshire and move someplace else. And apparently he did meet the deadline and they moved to Boston and she loved it. I said, yes, Mark. Okay, something you
I
said.
love that too. I just hope that we get an update because I noticed that they didn't, and maybe they'll get to it next part, but the fact that we didn't even touch on Clayton and what's going on with him, like he's an afterthought. When that was basically the biggest part of your storyline. Like if I was Sean and I didn't show it to you, but literally I was on the internet ever since Sunday and it came on and literally everybody is demanding, like, please take Sean off the tell-all, please, because she's not getting to anything. And I'm gonna be honest, if I was a host, one of my first questions on that cue card, if not already in my head, should have been, okay, how's marriage and what's the status with Clayton?
But did she come up with the questions?
Even if she doesn't, she has granted they put right out questions for her. Like I said, she has a cue card.
I'm sure she can, say, hey, let's ask this. But I mean, I don't think she gets final say.
I don't know. I think it's a bad hosting job. Oh, we wish you well. No, I need more than that, Sean.
But you heard Mark. I didn't know. I didn't understand it. I didn't know if that was like supposed to be a joke or what. Did you hear Mark before they went out on stage? He said something about Clayton.
Oh no, I didn't.
She said, I don't want all the drama.
Probably because she knows she's gonna get smoked.
Well, no, about him being there. Mark and Mina said since the wedding they've been in a good spot, but he said something about her son being there, and she said she doesn't want any more drama.
I remember hearing that, and I didn't remember the context. But even still, I thought that was weird. I thought that was really weird that just anybody let that go under the radar, unless it was something that was like it can't be asked or talked about. But that would be absolutely insane, especially because again,
you mentioned that basically all season it was giving like it was something that couldn't be. I mean, I guess the topic could be brought up, but really they were kind of acting like it was something that couldn't be talked
Like,
about.
yeah, they couldn't disclose. And I don't expect them to disclose why, like, if they can't, but I do at least expect them to disclose whether he's here or not. I think that's a yes or no question.
Well, I mean, I think maybe part two, she gets to them. So she didn't really get to their,
Yeah,
their
that's why I
segment.
said I'm gonna give her a little bit of grace. But yeah, they was on Blue Sky and online eating her up. They want her done. So then Sean moves on to, of course, a mini Amani, whatever she want to be, about all the work that she has done. Okay, which was a lot. Okay, she got a lot. I didn't even go through.
I
I
know,
know
because
she got to.
initially she just said a nose job and a BBL. Now I got it all. It was a nose job, a temporal lift, a BBL, a tummy tuck, a mini tummy tuck, and a lipo.
Well, whatever you need to make you feel
Ani said
better.
it was crazy to get all of that at one time.
Right. So she tries to blame it on social media again. And she kind of tells her, well, you did it for the wrong reasons. Because she talks about how I feel like when I look in the mirror, I don't know who I am anymore. And she was like, well, clearly you didn't like yourself because that's why you went and did it. And I was like, no shade. I was here for Shekinah saying what she said, but this is one of them situations where right message, wrong messenger. Okay? Because Shekinah, again, every time you show up here, you show up with something new on your face.
But like she said, Shekinah is proud of the work that she got done. You, on
This
the
is
other
true.
hand, are talking about how you got
But I
work
don't know if she should be.
regardless. But she's paying for what she likes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
She's happy with the results, and that's all that matters. She's paying for it and she likes the results. A Minnie, on the other hand, is saying that she got this work done and she's not happy with the results and how it made her feel. But she's telling her that the reason why that is because you got it for the wrong reasons and you didn't get it for yourself.
I guess. Anybody else on stage could have delivered that and it might have landed. I mean, it still landed, but it was a rough landing. It was
To me,
rough.
actually, it made more sense coming from Shekinah since
Well,
she got
I
so
guess
much
that's
from
true
her.
too. I guess that's true
Yeah.
too. So
If anybody else would have said, I'd be like, how the hell you know?
Right. So Amini calls her out for being rude. Well, oh, I ain't gonna say that. So then Sean asked about the tension between the two ladies, and then she kind of brings up that Amini had said that she was coming for her basically, and she just basically was like, who does a premeditated attack? Like, that's weird. So Amini claims, I was just trying to be a girl's girl. And I didn't want to blindside Shekinah because I knew I had things that I wanted to say. And so then Sean is like, okay, I ain't got time for this. So she moves on to Sean and Aaliyah and has them rate their marriage. And they say that it's an 8. But then when asked, they admit that they are not having sex, which everybody is on the cast is confused about.
That's like a 1.
Right. Jessica is still trying to learn Spanish, and Joan and Greg
No,
say
she's not.
they feel like they've been married for years. Okay.
No, she's not.
I mean, I ain't even gonna hold you. When she says she knows how to go to the restaurant, order food, I feel like that's the best place to learn. If you can learn the food objects, then you can get far.
Trace, it's probably already written in Spanish with pictures, like most Spanish restaurants.
But that's a way to figure it out. If that's how you learn, reading
That
it.
don't mean she remembers it. She just knows how to read it in Spanish.
That's good too.
Ciao. So then Sean brings it back around to Sarper and Shekinah, and she shows photos from their wedding. And Shekinah said it was perfect, and she loved how intimate it was, and nobody was there. But she said everything changed after they got married. I said, well, if she don't sound like Sarper, okay. She said that Sarper changed and their dynamic changed. She said that, them living in the US and her place, it really just feels like it's her place. And it gave him really bad depression. And that brought out a lot of anger for him towards her. Now, he said he's a control freak. And when he can't control things, it makes him feel depressed. And he said he doesn't like the marriage because it's a lot of new responsibilities and duties. He said every morning it's take the garbage out, take the dog out. We got to go shopping, drive me here, carry this, fix this. And said with her rules, he feels dependent. Sir, That's being a husband. I'm surprised she didn't have him doing all of this before they got married.
That was surprising, but I mean, I guess
Take off
maybe
the trash. I thought he was already walking the dog. But like normal stuff, like, are you for real?
I guess it's one thing to walk it and because you want to, because you need to get out the house versus somebody telling you to do it. Now, I mean, to me, that's just husband duties, but
I just felt like all the stuff that he was naming was just like normal stuff. Well, Sean asked about their sex life, and he said that she loves it. Okay, that's the best part. But apparently they slept in separate rooms in the hotel the night before. Then they brought Dan out, and he was asked what he thought about the pictures from the bedding, and he said that he thought it was cheap. Sarper was like, "Okay, well, we don't have a castle," and Dan told him, "You don't need a castle. You just need to do better."
he said you don't have to. He said you don't have to be in a castle to not be tacky.
I said, and the problem is, it was Shekinah's idea though.
Right.
I'm surprised Shekinah ain't say nothing. So Dan
Dan couldn't say nothing to me, especially the shots he was taking at Shekinah to her face.
Dan says that he feels like Shekinah really doesn't hang out with him anymore because of Sarper, and said that last week was his birthday and he didn't get a call or text. And she said that she did text him, but then he got mad that she didn't ask him to lunch. And she was like, "Sir, I can't do that. I'm married now, and you and my husband ain't cool." So then
I thought that was some weird stuff.
What?
That he fully expected her to go out to lunch with him, especially. I just thought that was weird. I don't know.
I think Dan is weird.
Yeah, Dan is weird, and hence why what Sarper said, what he said. He's the last one standing, basically.
So when Sarper said that, oh my God. So then he's like,
Sarper's reads were good. I give him that.
Yes, they were. So he's like, you can't have friends. And then Mark jumps in and said, really, you're not a friend, you're an ex-boyfriend. So he was like, I'm not an ex-boyfriend. We dated many years ago. And then said, but we did more than kiss. So that's what I'm saying. When you do things like that, like, why would you think that it would be okay for her to go have lunch with you?
Right. Unless she was just trying to piss Sarper off.
Exactly. Shekinah denied it. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he's like, regardless.
And that's another thing too. If I said it didn't happen and I'm not acknowledging that it happened, it looks lame as hell for you to continue to insinuate that it did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if it did, I'm not gonna. So why do you I don't know. I just don't understand why he feels the need to beat this horse. Like, and she don't want, like she said, he clearly likes rejection.
No, Trace, he said he likes challenge.
You stupid.
He said, whatever, regardless, today we're friends and this guy is controlling your social life. And told her, she's changed because he hasn't seen her in 4 months and she's lost a lot of weight and thinks that it's a bit too much. So Sarper told him, look, I can give you a target weight as well. So Shekinah told him to be nice. And Sarper said, why are you always coming to me about being nice and you don't say nothing to him? So Sarper said he went out on dates with a lot of the girls in the group, in the friends group. And when there are no horses left in the ranch, a donkey sees himself as a unicorn. I said, no.
That was funny.
See, these are the type of jokes you're supposed to tell on stage, homie. Okay. And then he told him, he's like, a spare's higher.
Apparently, he's really been working. He's really been out there. I seen a flyer or something with him on it.
Doing comedy shows?
Mm-hmm. He's really out there working.
Okay. So then he told him he's like a spare tire, until you go to the repair shop. He basically told him you'll do until, a good tire comes along. And said you're always in the trunk waiting.
Basically, when he said that, I said, damn.
Yeah. So Maddie said, if Sarper had an ex saying the same things like Dan, wouldn't you have him cut her off? And she was like, yeah, but I see Dan as harmless. And Sarper said, that's what pisses me off, because as a woman, you don't see anything wrong, but man to man, I see that there's danger And, the guys on the panel agree that every chance he gets, he's trying to hit on her. So Dan said, but I'm always respectful. And she says, but you do take your little shots sometimes or whatever. Then they show a video that Shekinah sent to production of Christmas morning where Sarper was MIA. He had left his ring and the air tag. Sarper said she had kicked him out the house, and he went and stayed in a rental for 10 days.
I said, clearly he got some money somewhere.
I said the same, Trees. I said the same thing. I said, for somebody who ain't working, you went and stayed somewhere for 10 whole days.
Maybe it was money from the show or something. I don't know, but he clearly got a little coin.
Not a word from you. Okay, so Sean asked what was the argument about, and he said it's usually something small, but he doesn't ever remember because then it turns into an argument about him yelling at her. And Dan basically said a man should never do that. He also said when you fight, you let her say what she needs to say, and then you let it go, and that's how a man is supposed to react. He says that he doesn't know if Sarper is 1000% in love with Shekinah and would want that for her. Because getting into a fight does not mean getting a flight back to your country. And Shekinah agreed. She said that she doesn't really feel that Sarper truly loves her if it's so easy for him to get up and leave. Then on break, Shekinah broke down crying and said she feels like he really doesn't care about her, while he feels that she doesn't want to be anywhere near him. Then he told her, "You'll lose me because of you, and you'll regret it like a dog." So she tries to say, "You're trying to call me a dog." And then he told her that she's naughty and spoiled and everyone sees it. And she told him she doesn't want to be around him because he always does this kind of stuff, and told him to leave her alone. And so he did.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm not saying first of all, I don't think the man called her a dog, but although I didn't agree with everything that he said to her, I agreed with there were some points that he made. But if I was Sarper, the fact that this man wants you, and for you to sit up on this stage and for him to say, he doesn't think that I really love you, and then for you to like concur. Oh yeah, it wouldn't have been nice backstage either.
First of all, back up a little bit. The fact that I'm your husband, this man is asking to hang out with you, claims he's your friend, and constantly saying to my face and in front of you that he's done more to you than kiss. And you're constantly denying it, and his story has not changed. We haven't got past that yet. And this man is talking about hanging out with you privately. Can we address that?
Right, because it's like, yeah, you can hang out with
your ass about that, because he's right. Every time you're coming at me about being nice and da-da-da-da, but if this man is lying on your name, why are you not saying nothing?
And I agree with that. To your point, that's a great point to address, because my whole thing is, if he's already saying things that are supposedly not true that happen, why do you continue to put yourself in spaces and places around him, or even let him think that's possible where he can make up more shit?
Exactly.
So no, I agree. And yeah, so she sit backstage and cry, and then I do love when Greg came to check on her and was like, "Well, what do you need from him right now?" And she was like, "He's not capable of giving me what I need." Yeah, I thought it was Greg.
Oh, I thought it was production.
So then we learned that Madi is a personal trainer. Stevie reveals that she lost weight after following Madi's workout plan. I didn't realize,
and they showed the picture.
Yeah, I didn't realize she was that big. I really didn't. Like,
I didn't know that they met when she was that big.
I didn't realize that either. So then Stevie talks about how supportive Madi has been with her narcolepsy. And how, he's just being really sweet because apparently she just fall asleep anywhere.
All the things that she named off, and I didn't get all of those, but all the things she named off and put her on this plan, this workout. Maddie a real one.
Yeah, no, that was super sweet. So then they decide to bring out Veronica, who I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care for. And she's apparently been following their story. I used to like Veronica. I don't see it for her no more.
You mean outside of this story, you don't like her?
Yeah, She
Oh,
be with the foolishness.
oh.
I used to like her like in the beginning when they first, when they first brought her and Tim on. I used to
Mhm.
like their dynamic, but now I think she's just turning one of some those 90 day people who do whatever for a check, and yeah, it doesn't really sit right with me. Um, so, and I think she's from North Carolina, or at least I know that's where she was living. Her and Tim were living. Anyway, so they bring out I said Veronica, who's been following their story, and she's also dating a Persian man from Iran. So she talks about how hard it must have been for Marty to be without his family. And then Sean brings up Stevie suggesting that maybe they could talk less. And Veronica tells her never try to get in between a Persian man and his mama. Okay. So Stevie says that she's learned that, and where they are now, she actually has to be the one to tell Marty to call his mama. So then they bring out good old Saeed, okay, who says that he's happy for Marty, but he thinks that Stevie could give him more support because he has so much potential. And then Stevie wants to know, well, how am I not supporting him? So Saeed said no one is looking for a personal trainer in Mississippi. And so Veronica's like, hold on. You talking about him not being supportive, but you've been in the US for 2 years and you could have helped him
10,
assimilate.
10.
Yeah, I said 10 years.
Oh, I thought you said 2. It sounded like you said 2.
No. He's been in here for 10 years. So he was like, you could have helped him assimilate. And instead he's, talking about, or basically, and she brings up how basically you've been talking about them since y'all been introduced. So then he reveals that he offered Marty to stay with him in California. And so Stevie is shocked to learn this news and the fact that Marty didn't tell her. Okay. And so Marty is just sitting there speechless. He's doing the Beyonce mute challenge. And he was winning. And so then the rest of the cast, they felt bad for him. So they start jumping on Saeed for coming for them. And then they bring up, of course, Stevie's sexuality and why she never denied whether she was bisexual or not. She's still refusing to do so. Whatever. I
I love
don't
when
understand.
I love when Shekinah asked her, you don't want to put a label on it. And she said no, because there is no label, but it was giving that's exactly what it was. She's saying she don't want no label. So oh yeah, that's what she said. She goes by souls and personalities.
Okay. Well, then she just needs to tell him that.
Or
So
should have
yeah,
from
yeah.
before they got married.
I could be if I dig a woman's soul, then yeah, I could be into women. That's not who I'm into right now, but yes.
And then they said, you ain't never gave a direct answer. She said, yes, I did. I told him I choose you.
Okay.
Girl,
So
what?
hey. So then Sean asked Stevie if she's ever kissed a girl before, and she just completely refuses to answer the question at that point. So Joan says she thinks that, she's into women because she can just never give a direct answer. And Stevie asked if it would matter now if he knew, and he says that yeah, it might. It might matter. And then basically they end up moving on from there because we know we're not gonna get an answer out of Stevie.
And really, to me, no answer is an answer.
I kind of feel the same way.
If it was no,
Like
then you just say
if
no.
you're not going to directly tell me, then you can't be upset when I directly assume whatever
Mhm.
I want to assume.
Exactly. Like if the answer was no, you would just say no. But no answer is your answer.
I agree.
All right. So then on lunch, Stevie went to go take a nap while everybody else was kind of making jokes about whether she kissed the girl or not. Maddie asked Sean in the 14 years that he was married to his wife, did he wish that he had something else? And Sean said that he also feels like, just like Stevie, that he also feels like he falls for the person, and it's scary to share every detail of your thoughts. Sean also mentions, their age gap, and Maddie said, do you think that maybe she's waiting for me to catch up with the age gap, the cultural gap, and then maybe she'll be more open? And everybody just kind of said probably. So after her nap, she said that she really doesn't care what anybody has to say, and she doesn't understand why everybody's curious about her sexuality. Maybe she does owe Maddie some answers, but after his response today and how it could jeopardize their marriage, that might be a conversation for later.
Okay.
Um, Then it was time for Greg and Joan, and he was asked if he still lives at home with his mom. Yes, he does. Joan said that she wants to move out immediately, okay, because it's stressful. They don't have no privacy, and you know it's affecting their intimacy. So then they brought out Big Ed. I don't like seeing him.
I don't either.
I don't know why. And it just makes me feel like a horrible person, but I really just can't help it. I don't like seeing him.
Mm-mm.
So he comes out and
The
says that
feelings mutual.
he comes out and he says that he really likes them and he really hopes that it works out. But when he had his mom move in with him, it caused a lot of angst. So he recommended to Joan that he give Greg a 90-day notice to put a roof over her head outside of his mom's house. And Joan agreed that maybe that is something she should do. So then they brought out Lucille, and of course they showed that awkward scene between her and Joan. And Lucille said that she
Hmm.
never saw Joan in that light and felt that it was very disrespectful. And she kind of jumped in and said that she couldn't believe that she had the nerve to tell her mom, I'm sorry, to tell his mom to leave her own house, and felt like it was out of line and disrespectful. And Joan was like, yeah, but she's there all day. And she kind of was like, yeah, but it's her
Because
house.
she lives there, right? I ain't even
Exactly.
gonna hold you. I wasn't here for Joan in this
And
particular.
remember, you were kind of defending her.
And then I
And look,
realized I was like, oh, that's how she really feel.
I was like, I bet Treese feel like she doubling down right now.
I said, oh, that is so not. I said, girl.
So then Big Ed basically told Greg that this is all his fault because he put his mom and his wife in this position. And Juan told them that, if they need some privacy, they need to go get a hotel, go do it in the car or something, just be creative.
Improvise, right.
Well, he said, we ain't got no doors. We got to get creative too. We remember
Mm.
that.
Yes, I do remember that.
So Sean asked if they're actively trying to get pregnant, and they basically said, yeah. Joan said, why shouldn't we? We're married. Uh, Greg said that Joan could be pregnant right now for all we know. And that's really what it was given. It was given it was going to be a big reveal, child. Because when they
Okay.
brought it up, Joan was smiling. I said, oh. Um, Lucille said that she really doesn't want to start all over again, raising children in the house. And Joan said nothing's going to stop her from trying to have a child. So she kind of basically told her that, Lucille is trying her best. And Joan said,
I ain't
so
even gonna hold you. She in this scene, Joan is lucky that his mama is the mama that she is, and she's
mhm.
not one of these other 90-day mamas.
Oh, you can get the hell out.
Right, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, because
absolutely.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, "Oh,
Exactly.
if she would have tested me like that, and it wouldn't have been for the love of my own child, I'd be like, you and her can get out." And look,
And the fact
and
that
if you
he wasn't saying nothing, she was like, "Oh, but he's fine with it."
right,
So yeah, she kind of basically told
and why
her
would
that.
you be fine with it when you know you? That's another thing that upset me. I'm gonna let you finish. That's another thing that bothered me.
So she kind of told her that Lucille is trying her best. Joan told her that she is too, and she said, "No, you're not, because you just said that she just said that she doesn't want you to get pregnant in her house, and basically you're neglecting her wishes." And then they had a little back and forth, and Joan told
Yeah,
her
she's like, "I'm trying to control my womb," and I was like, "Girl, no." She's trying to tell you to be respectful of the woman's house that
exactly.
you're staying in. That's what she's trying to say.
And Joan told her by the time that she gets pregnant, they'll be out the house, and told her to calm herself down. And she kind of told her, "Girl, I'm calm. You the one that's looking all riled up." And I ain't gonna lie, that's exactly what it was given.
Okay.
Amani told Joan that she thinks that she's hoping that the baby will push him out of his mom's house. And what if it doesn't? And then it turns into a nightmare. And she said, listen, I trust my man. I trust his word. And that is what it is. And Greg said that he's working 14-hour days and stacking his paper. While Lucille said, Greg told her that, by his job, there's like a trailer park that he was thinking about to start with. And he said now he's looking more into condos and co-ops and stuff like that. And originally the plan was for them to move to Uganda. But then COVID happened and he felt like it would just be easier if she came there. But they are still considering moving to Uganda in the future. So Lucille was asked if she would be okay if they moved to Uganda. And she said that she can't see herself traveling that far. And what's important to her right now is her finding somebody. So
Mm.
Ed said that he's single, talking about they going on a date. And then it was a little crazy because they left the studio hand in hand and patting each other's asses. It was a little too cozy for me.
Okay.
Joking or not, ugh, I would not want to joke with Ed like that. I don't want to give you the wrong idea.
Okay. At all. At
Mm-mm,
all. Look, I had to hit a Deborah Cox and RL. We can't be friends
mm-mm.
because there is no love. All right. So they get to Amani, Matt, and Nani. They said that after the big argument, they didn't talk for 2 weeks and then they made up. Okay. Ani says that Amani can be dramatic at times, but she loves her. And then Amani reveals that they spent Christmas together with the kids, you know, the whole family, Amani's kids, Ani's kids, you know, whatever, and New Year's. And so Sarper accuses Matt. So Matt goes on this whole diatribe about how he's, you know, doing this so that Amani can live her best gay
Her
life.
fantasy, her childhood fantasy.
Right, her childhood fantasy. And Sarper said, "Man, I think you're hypnotized because you're just gonna do whatever she tell you to do." And so, yeah, then Amani's like, "No, and it's not like that. It's not a fantasy. And I really do. I love women, but I love him as well, right?" And so then she reveals that actually she's never had one-on-one sex with Annie, and it's always been the three of them, and really it's just her and Matt. And apparently they've switched up the rules, and now Matt and Ani can do it without having to get her permission. And apparently he's been going on trips to see Ani without a mini. And I said, well,
We said that was gonna happen.
I don't know how she doesn't see what's getting ready to happen. But okay, girl. Okay, girl. And that's all I got. That's all I got. Did anything else happen? That's all I got for them. Or just period. For part one.
I think just her and she kind of got into it about their surgeries and stuff. Oh, the trans thing.
Oh, and then yeah, so Amini reveals that Shekinah reached out to her and had asked her a question about Ani and whether she was trans. And she went back and told her, and Shekinah felt like this means you're not trustworthy. And I kind of feel what Amani was saying, where I'm with her.
My loyalty is to her.
My loyalty is to her. So yeah, that's not gonna rock like that. And you know, basically,
I think she
poor
kind of
little Aaliyah is sitting on the stage.
I know
like,
she's like, what? But she
right.
kind of tried to gaslight her because she's like, well, why is that shameful? I love trans women and I think they're beautiful. It's shameful. You made it shameful by saying, don't tell her that I said it because it could hurt her feelings.
Right.
You made it shameful. If you feel like they're so beautiful and all this other stuff, then it would be a compliment. But you said that she would be offended by it.
Well, that part, that's a very good point. And so yeah, that was pretty much part one of the 90-day tell-all. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have not already, make sure you hit that like button.
Make sure you comment.
Make sure that you guys subscribe.
And you hit the notification bell.
And make sure you're following us on all the platforms. That's the IG, Facebook, TikTok, and the Blue Sky. And we will catch you next week for part 2, dos. Okay? Just for Jessica, you know, dos. All right. We'll see. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.